Alright, so this is going to be a review and comparison of both the STIHL BR800X and the RedMax EBZ8550 here. So first, let me start off by saying that neither company pays me to say anything good about their machines. I bought both of these blowers with my own money to use with my landscaping business, and yeah. Alright, so both of these machines are basically the top of the line blowers. STIHL does have one model above this. You pretty much get all the same specs as the BR800X, except you get a couple extra features such as a pull starter on the side here, so if you have it on your back and you don't have to take it off your back to start it again. And then that one also comes with a telescoping nozzle here, so you can telescope it out and then telescope it right back in, whereas the 800X here has a nozzle that you can switch out, so you have a shorter one for your flower beds and then a longer one for just general debris moving and stuff like that. The RedMax over here, that is the top of the line RedMax blower, the biggest you could buy. One difference between these two machines, I should say, is the STIHL over here is a right-hand throttle, so the throttle is right there on the chute there. And then this RedMax here is a left-hand throttle, so the throttle is on your left hand here, and then on the chute you just have a handle. I don't have a RedMax to compare to these two machines, but this will be a comparison of just the STIHL versus the RedMax. So I'm going to start off with the pros and cons of each blower here. First, on the left, we have the STIHL. This runs on a 50-to-1 mix, so you run 2-stroke gas through it, but it is a 4-stroke engine, so that means it has valves, which gives you a much quieter engine than the RedMax over here, which is a 2-stroke. But the downside to that is every once in a while, every couple of years, you're going to have to adjust the valves or have your dealer adjust the valves in this machine. Whereas the RedMax over here, it's just a regular old 2-stroke machine and there's no valves to adjust or anything like that. Another thing with the STIHL is we have the 2 nozzles you could swap out. So this one, like I said before, is just for general cleanup. This one is for flower beds, which I've used, and it works amazing. If you're in a bed where there's a lot of mulch, and it moves all the debris basically without really disturbing the mulch. So that is definitely a great feature I love with the STIHL. Whereas over here on the RedMax, you don't have another nozzle you could put on. I mean, I guess you could take off this nozzle. I haven't really tried that in a flower bed, but yeah. Another thing I really like about the STIHL is how easy it is to adjust the position of your handle here. So on the STIHL, all you have to do is just pop this tab open, then you can slide your handle here wherever you want. Once you have it where you want it, all you have to do is just snap this back in place and you're good to go. It's locked and ready to go. On the RedMax over here, it's also not a pain to really move it where you want it, but it's not as easy on the STIHL. So on the RedMax, all you have to do is just loosen these wing nuts here, and then you can slide it wherever you want it. Not a huge deal, but definitely much easier and more convenient on the STIHL. Another thing I really like about the STIHL here is the way they give you a place to put your foot while you're starting the blower, so you can have your foot on there and then give this cord here a good pull without worrying about the blower going flying. Whereas the RedMax over here, they don't really have anywhere to put your foot. What I usually do is just put my hand right on top of the blower here, give a nice firm pull, and the blower doesn't really move. I just really like the way that the STIHL has a place to put your foot. So yeah. One advantage the RedMax has over the STIHL is that they offer it in a left-handed throttle configuration. So that means you just have your throttle on the left hand here. And I originally wasn't going to buy the left-handed throttle model. I thought it would be way more inconvenient to have to use your left hand to control the throttle while you're blowing with your right hand. And I thought I'd have a hard time getting used to it. But to be honest, I actually really like the left hand now that I've been using it for a while. If you're in a flower bed or something, I would definitely prefer the STIHL because you just have a spring-loaded trigger there, and it's much easier to control the leaves and everything when you're in a flower bed. You have much more control. But if you're in a big open space or you're clearing a wide open area, I would definitely prefer the left-handed throttle. It almost just gives you a place to hold your hand, and then you're not constantly trying to hold down the trigger, even though you do have cruise control on the STIHL too. But it's just a preference thing. I personally would prefer the left-handed throttle, and I wish that STIHL offered a left-handed throttle as well. And then finally, the biggest difference between these two blowers and the biggest advantage STIHL has over the RedMax is just how comfortable the STIHL is. Now, I've talked to other guys in my dealer, and everyone will tell you the STIHL has the most comfortable backpack in the industry. There's no question about it. When you wear this thing, it feels like you're getting a hug on your back. It's just amazing how comfortable that one is. The RedMax over here isn't uncomfortable. It just doesn't even compare to this STIHL, and really no other backpack I've ever used does. I mean, I'm not bashing the RedMax just because it's not comfortable, because I would definitely say this is comfortable. You know, you have plenty of padding here, but it just is not even close to how comfortable the STIHL is. So after a while, if you're using the STIHL, you're not even gonna, it doesn't really hurt your back at all, whereas any other blower, including this RedMax, if you're blowing for a while, it's gonna start to hurt your back a little bit. Another thing I've noticed with these blowers is they're both pretty far from fuel efficient. And that's just because of how big these blowers are. There's really no way to make them fuel efficient. I know with the STIHL over here, I'm getting about an hour to a tank of gas on average, I'd say. Whereas the RedMax, I do get a little bit longer run time, but that may just be because it does have a slightly larger fuel tank, which is a bit of an advantage. I do wish the STIHL had a larger fuel tank, but yeah, they're both not fuel efficient. So one thing you can definitely tell a difference in with these blowers is the way they sound and how loud they are. So the STIHL obviously has a 4-stroke engine. It sounds like a 4-stroke. And then the RedMax over here has a 2-stroke engine, sounds like your classic 2-stroke. So with the 4-stroke engine, you do get a slightly quieter engine. You can tell the difference between the two, and the STIHL, you can tell, is definitely a little bit more quiet. The specs from both their websites is the STIHL is at 78 decibels, and then the RedMax is at 110 decibels. And it's not a huge difference, it's just a little bit of a difference. You can definitely tell that the STIHL is quieter. So if you have neighbors that are constantly complaining about noise or whatever, you might want to go with the STIHL, because you can definitely tell a difference in how quiet it is. So weight-wise, both these blowers are pretty light. The STIHL is slightly lighter at 23.1 pounds and the RedMax at 25.1 pounds. And that's both from STIHL and RedMax website. So that's what the manufacturers rate them at, and I'm pretty sure they both rate them as a dry weight, so that means with no fuel in them. But both these blowers are pretty much basically the same weight. They're both very light for how much power they put out. I wouldn't call either of these blowers very heavy. I have a BR800 that I used to use all the time, and that is basically like the same weight as both these blowers. So they're really not that heavy either on your back. So power-wise, I'd say both these blowers are extremely powerful. I must say I've been impressed by both these machines, as you would expect from the top-of-the-line blowers. But I've been extremely impressed at how much air they can put out and how much leaves they can move. The specs from both their websites, the STIHL has a air velocity of 239 miles per hour, and the volume is 912 CFM, and then it has 41 newtons of blowing force. And then the RedMax over here has the air velocity of 206 miles per hour, 941 CFM, and 41 newtons. So if you really want to get technical, the STIHL does have a little bit more air speed, and then the RedMax has a little bit more air velocity. But both these blowers have the same amount of blowing force, which is 41 newtons. If you don't know, The air speed is obviously in miles per hour. That's how fast the air is coming out of the blower. And then the volume, which is measured in CFM, or cubic feet per minute, is how much air is coming out. So if you're moving a giant pile of leaves, you're going to want more CFM. Whereas if you're just trying to get leaves out of grass, say they're really stuck in there, you're doing a spring cleanup, that's when you're going to want more miles per hour. But both these blowers, I would say, are great at both. I mean, I've moved big piles with both. I've moved small piles with both. And you really can't go wrong with the power on either one of these machines. As far as my complaints with both of these blowers, I don't really have many. I saw in a couple other videos, or one other video, that this guy was saying that the plastic on the RedMax chute here is not very strong, and he made it look really weak and chintzy. But really, I mean, this isn't that bad. He was comparing it to the other STIHL, which had the pull cord on the side of the blower and a telescoping nozzle. But if you compare this one with the RedMax, this 800X here, it basically has the same nozzle, and this is also pretty thin. Both of them are pretty thin. I mean, but it's not really a big issue. I wouldn't be worried about either one breaking. It's just, I wouldn't say that this is more thin or any less quality than the STIHL. Another thing I saw, the guy was saying that this end here will sometimes pop off on you. I haven't had that happen, and I don't really see that happening. This fits on there pretty tight. I've taken it off and put it back on, and it snaps into place real good. I'd say maybe he didn't snap it into place all the way, or maybe, they fixed that issue. I don't know, but I personally haven't had that happen to me, and I don't really see it being an issue with this blower, or at least the one I have. Maybe he got a lemon or whatever. He said that other people were saying the same thing, but I haven't had that experience with mine. But yeah. One thing I will say though is I've had this blower for about 2 months, and I have had one issue with it. I'm not sure if I just got a lemon. I asked my dealer if they've seen any other problems with these blowers like I've had, and they said they haven't. So I would say it was probably just a lemon. But what happened was my ignition coil had failed, and I wasn't getting any spark, so I took it out on a job one morning and it just wouldn't start, and I had no spark. Both these blowers are covered by a 2-year warranty. All I had to do was take it back to the dealer, and they repaired it under warranty work. They gave me a loaner while I was out of this blower. But yeah, so I'm not sure if it's a common problem with these blowers. My dealer said they haven't seen it before, and I haven't seen anything online, but I just thought I'd let you guys know I had that issue with that blower. Not a big deal. It's all fixed, and I didn't have to pay anything to get it fixed. Just something I wanted to mention. So all in all, both these blowers are great blowers. I like them both. I use them both. You're going to be happy basically with either one you get. They're both great. They're both pretty comparable in price, aside from a few differences. So like if you're someone where comfortability is a big deal, the STIHL would definitely be the way to go. It's obviously the most comfortable in the industry, from what I've heard and experienced myself. And then if you're someone who really likes the throttle on the side here, and really just wants a 2-stroke with no maintenance with the valves or anything, the RedMax may be the blower for you. So really, it's up to you to decide. But honestly, both these blowers are great blowers. You can't go wrong with either one of them. So that's pretty much it for this video. I wasn't going to do a comparison side by side with blowing leaves or anything like that. And that's just because I always feel like there's some kind of bias when I watch those videos, or they're not a fair comparison, or you can't really tell a difference. If you guys really want me to do something like that, leave a comment down below. I can do that if you want. But in my experience and out in the field, both these blowers are pretty powerful and everything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Please be sure to give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.